Hello everyone, Murray the Pie Man here with a video and kind of an update. So you might be wondering why one of the pilots isn't up at the moment and why instead you're watching trains roll past. Well, I thought, as a bit of a change, what I would do is basically record a kind of short video kind of talking about what I'm hoping to do in the next few months, and also this is one of the things, it's sort of a hint of one of the things. So I've got lots of games which I'd like to show people, but I don't think they quite warrant, a whole series. I wouldn't play through the whole thing, but they're quite fun to play, and so I thought if I do maybe 20 minutes, half an hour of one of these, and I can kind of talk about something else. So in this case I might talk a bit about myself, because I've realised I've not really introduced too much of myself, and also talk about what's sort of going to be happening. So what I'm going to do is start a single player game. I'm going to pick one of the easier... No, in fact, I'm not. I'm going to pick Britain. Why not? It's where I live, although I live up that way somewhere, where we have some very good railways, I might add. So this game is Sid Meier's Railroads, and essentially it's a giant train set, but designed in game form. I picked it up as part of a Sid Meier bundle a couple of years ago, so of rockets and Rainhill, and started the timer. The year is 1829, with the Stephenson rocket one of the first great locomotives, proving that steam to be a reliable power source. Industrialists in Britain and around the world are beginning to realise that the railroad is far from a novelty. Before them is the future of industry, and each wants to get their hand in this breakthrough technology. So the idea is you've got to run a railway. Now I've put it in single player, so I'm not competing, but if you can see, I'm here, I've got a tiny bit of track in Salisbury. The main rule is I can only build off existing track, and they've got a little bit of demand. If I scroll around the map, there's Portsmouth, and it's got some supplies and demands, and there's Cheltenham, so, oh, and Bristol, so now you can do business on it. Now what there is, so I've got to connect Liverpool, I've got my, by 1850, I've got to connect Liverpool, Manchester, and I've got to protect my fledgling line by acquiring a 70% stake in my company. By 1922, I've got to build the Premier line connecting Birmingham, Liverpool, London, Manchester. By 1857, passengers from Manchester to London and Birmingham to London, set a speed record, oh, that's going to be tricky, and build an industrial force to be reckoned with by gaining a net worth. So that's the idea. There's things, but you can just muck about with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a bit of track out to Bristol, I think. So as you can see, it's just literally drag and drop for track, and I'll build what you start as a depot. You start on your own one with a full-size terminus. Oh, and there's Poole as well. So as you can see, things have demands for food or materials, which you can then get from, and I will show you doing that in a minute. First, I'm going to put on a simple passenger train, and I'm going to give it a simple, as you can see, building uphill or bridges does increase the cost. But let's get to Portsmouth, because Portsmouth's going to have a demand for people. So, basic thing railways do, move people from place to place. Now, why did I pick Sid Meier's Railroads, you ask? I hear you all asking. So there's our train. So here you go, here's all the trains. We've only got one to go for at the moment. Preferred passenger. So we're going to add... I'm going to keep this one small, because the train, as you look, you see, as I add carriages, it drops the speed. So there's 2 passengers, 1 mail, and it's just simply going to call at Portsmouth, Salisbury, and Bristol. Good start, because this will earn me money. So you can see I've spent money already. Now over there I've got some livestock, I've got some coal mines up here. Indeed, Portsmouth needs coal, so that's an option. Now, this is a single track at the moment. There's Poole, which has a stockyard, and you can also buy businesses, and there's Taunton, which needs a woolen mill. So as you can see, there's our little train at the moment, chugging its way down, and in fact, if I pull up this menu, so that's a train, and that gives us info. So at the moment it's travelling at 16 or 17 miles an hour. Let's just follow it on its journey. Oh, wrong button. So it's going to stop here. As you can see, I pick up a bit of money from it offloading and loading passengers. Now, like you say, Salisbury's got a power plant, at the moment it's not earning any money. Bristol has a chemical plant and a stockyard. And up here we have Cheltenham, so all these are places. So yeah, why did I pick Sid Meier's Railroads? Well, the answer for that is not put too big a point on it. I work for the RailWays. Oh, one warning I'll give of this game: it can get quite unstable, so there might be cuts and things while it's crashed and I've had to reload. Hopefully not from the beginning. Or maybe management saves better. So I'm just going to extend the track out here to get this coal mine involved. And in fact, now it's me down to about 67,000. I'm going to put in another train because this is probably going to get me into a bit of debt. So a simple 4 there and take them off again. So that's all I'm doing at the moment, is running coal down there. I might extend what that does because as you can see there's a steel mill there. So I may well expand what I do with that. Now yeah, I work for the railway, so it's actually something I've gained an enthusiasm for. I'm not quite a rail enthusiast yet, but the history of the Industrial Revolution and sort of the rail is something which goes to me. And this does, obviously it's got being called railroads, it is something of a, it's got very much an American bias towards it, but it's still good fun. So there you go, there's another little train. Now there's a nice touch, I don't know if we'll see it yet, but when a train beats a speed record it actually gets a name. They name it, so so here's one of the things you'll get bonuses. A Meier will solicit railway, so if I click this, there's Brum, and they're wanting to deliver medicines. Now of course that's not just a simple task, so what I've got to do is I've got to find somewhere where the chemical works. So this is where, particularly at this early stage, it could be quite tricky. That's not the easiest one. So Bristol has a chemical works. What I then need is a supply of nitrates, which come from sheep. And so I'm looking for new train. I'll have a look at that. So is that's a ranch. We don't call them ranches here, Sid Meier. Really, it'd be called a farm. So yeah, I can't see any sheep things there. What I will do is I'm going to upgrade both my trains because I've still got quite a bit of money. I'm going to upgrade both of these to the newer one. In fact, that's that's our passenger one. I'll just upgrade the passenger one because it is costing me money. Right, let's see if I can't find a sheep farm somewhere. There's a lot. There we go. And it is near where we've put something. Now, I'm not actually... You see, this is where you start having to think a bit, because I've got this coal train running up and down to Portsmouth. What I'm actually going to do is take a little spur off just before... There's a speed record, so you'll see in a minute one of those will change. Did I put a depot in Portsmouth? Yes, I did. I just can't find it. Very odd. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little spur coming out here. And I'm just going to pass it through that farm for a reason. And I'm going to pass it up. Now, the problem is if I keep too steep a slope on this, it does slow the trains down. Trains don't like gradients, but... So there we go. So that's us got an annex in there, and I'm going to put another one. I'm going to put one in here for different reasons, because I'm hopefully going to be able to get away with running single track for a bit longer. Now, if you saw Poole there, can also take stock, so I'm actually going to run a quick branch out, trying to get it to... it's gone the wrong way. Get rid of that. I'm going to run a quick branch out of here to divert the line to Poole, because I will then be able to make a... run out of money. Well, not quite run out of money, but... Because obviously what I'm wanting to then do from Bristol over there is I'm wanting to run a line all the way up to Birmingham. Of course, Birmingham's a fair distance. Run it through Cheltenham on there. But what I'll need is a source of income. So this is where my thought processes are going. So I do that. Put a station in Poole. And what I'm going to do first is actually buy a train, start it here, take it to Poole, and start delivering food to Portsmouth. Then clear the cars away because there's no point running empties. Now, I'm probably going to have to double the line through Portsmouth at the moment because this is soon going to get busy and we're going to need some passing space. So I'm going to quickly put in a second row track there, and in fact, let's see, do I have the money to double it all the way? Yeah, I do. Bridges are very difficult to put crossovers on, so I'm going to put a crossover in here for the moment. I might even end up doubling it to Salisbury, you never know. And then I'll just put crossover there, just to make sure trains can cross on and off, and I'll run another lead from here up onto there. So this should now mean that 2 trains can run up and down here, because my next step, looking at money wise, yep, I can hold out for a little. Now obviously there's somewhere I'll probably connect up very soon, and that might mean this line gets a lot busier. Or I could potentially run yet another spur and actually go over the line, but that will cost more. At the moment, what I'm needing, because Birmingham was the one that's listed railways, now I could just run a spur off there, but what I'm actually going to do is right here. So, and that's me already out of money. So, yes, I work for the railway, so that's kind of why I picked this. So, things you need to know about me, not much really. I'm in my late 30s. I'm a family man. I have children, so, and a wife. And like I say, my sort of background's in engineering. I've been playing video games on and off, mostly on, I might add. Since now this is a thing. So you can get upgrades. Now the idea is in a multiplayer game, you don't actually have to bid. As it is, I can get everything for 50,000, which is quite nice. So yeah, played games from a very young age. My first computer was an Amstrad CPC 6128. It was a computer designed by Sir Alan Sugar, who you might well know as the guy who presents The Apprentice. Amstrad actually stands for Alan Michael Sugar Trading. Anyway, this computer itself was an 8-bit machine, had 128k of memory, and used a 3-inch floppy drive. Not a particularly common type of drive that they used. It was a somewhat unique. It was really pretty much surpassed with a 5.25 disc. So yes, that's sort of a history. Gamed on that. Dropped out a little in the 8-bit console era, although I did have a friend with a SNES, and so I played quite a bit on the SNES and a little bit on the Mega Drive. And then kind of got into the PC gaming for a while, and then dropped out a little while I was at uni. At uni, it's never gone, is the thing, for all that I say I dropped out. When I was in uni, I played a lot in arcades, which is arguably the most expensive, but a lot of student unions at the time had arcade machines, and so I actually played quite a lot of arcade games when I was sort of in my late teens, early 20s. And then coming back, I eventually picked up a PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Eventually got a decent PC and went back to PC gaming. And that's kind of, I still have, I do a little console gaming, but not much. My kids actually do like the Wii, and my son also has an Xbox. So that's kind of my gaming history. So what I'll do now, I'm just going to take a quick glance at the time, the upshot of this. Yeah, so we've got plenty of time running at the moment, but what I'm going to do is tell you a bit about what I'm going to do with the channel. I'm not doing anything, I'm not shutting it down or anything, you'll be sorry to hear. Hang on, let's get this, so let's start here. And what we're wanting to actually take is all 4 tubs of nitrates, which we'll take here, take out there, and replace with 4 tubs of medicine, and take that to, have I not put a blimmin' station in Birmingham. There we go. Because I may well run it. You see, this is where I'm going to start getting congested lines, which is a big issue. Trust me on this one. Volume of traffic is one of the main issues, victim of our own success in the railways at times. So as you can see, everything's still quite slow. And we're going to Birmingham, at which point I'll take these out. And you know what? Just to save the return journey, let's get a couple of passenger things running. Back here. Back to Bristol. And then we will empty the train at Bristol, because people can change trains there and go, and it'll run empty back to the farm. So I'm going to quickly punch up a save. Just call it England. Yeah, so what I'm doing with the channel, so the pilot season at the moment, I'm still waiting to see the results. Currently the front runner in the videos to do, according to views, is Sid Meier's Pirates, the further adventures of swashbuckling adventures of Red Murray, and I'm more than happy to do that. It's actually, thinking of it, it's probably not one of the best to do, if I'm honest, but let's follow some trains while we're talking about this. It's probably not one of the best to do, if I'm honest, but you know, it's what people have watched. However, I am also aware that it is the oldest video and so has the most chances of acquiring more likes. The second place at the moment is my coverage of Riven, which I initially wasn't going to do, but again, if the demand's there, who am I to argue? So it may well be that I just sod it, I'll do Riven, and we'll go from there, and basically turning this into mist. But what I was planning was to not exclusively focus on one game, so I'll do the series, but I might dip back into some of the other things that made it through the pilot, because I quite enjoyed dipping back into Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Wing Commander, if I'm honest, and so I may well intersperse. I'll probably focus on Riven or Sid Meier's Pirates, and again, if I'm doing that, Pirates will actually work quite well, so I might focus on these, but with a view to later on expanding, you know, but with a view of every so often doing a video on one of the others. So it would mean I could record more videos, get some stored up and that sort of thing. Oh no! Well, good thing I don't have any fish supplies. I should pay attention, but I play it on such an easy level, these things don't make a difference. Oh, the train has passed through one of the others. So yeah, that's the plan at the moment. So you will see potentially more a greater variety of things turn up on the channel. That's what I'm hoping for. Obviously, recording times vary depending on work and family commitments. One of the things my job with the railway does occasionally take me travelling, so I occasionally do travel on the railway to places like Bristol. Mysteriously enough, you know, well, places like Bristol and that sort of thing do actually turn up on my travels. So. There you go, it's definitely something. Like I say, it's sort of, well, when I do recordings is based on when I can get access, you know, when I can get time to do it, when I'm awake. I mean, I'm kind of frazzled, I'm afraid, here at the moment. I stayed up to watch the election, which will let you know when this was recorded. Ooh, a new train. All passenger at the moment. So let's go for the Portsmouth Comet, which they've handily named, and let's change its name, change the name, so I'll go for this Iron Duke. So yeah, they've all been passenger. Really, I probably shouldn't be moving goods, but this is the thing. So, one of the things that you start, now, working for the railway, one of the things you start getting to sort of used to is you start absorbing bits of railway history, and I watched a very interesting documentary about the railways. No, really, I did. And it was talking about, is that where Liverpool is? Nottingham or Manchester? Peterborough? No, I've not been to Peterborough. Yes. Oh, new speed record near Portsmouth. Norwich. One of the things, yeah, so it was actually about how the railways kind of joined things up, and I'm not saying the railways invented time, but universal time across the UK was actually made through the railways, and in fact, I think it's in Bristol, you can actually see the clock, which first had, you see if you look, I'm going to buy the stockyard, get money for it. Yeah, you can actually see the clock, it's the clock with a red hand, and I better buy some stock in my company actually, connect Liverpool and Manchester. Ooh, things to do, so Liverpool was up here, yeah, so there's actually a clock with a red hand on it, and that hand was railway time. This is going to be an expensive bit of track. I'm pretty much just running a train up to Liverpool for the sake of it. Because it used to be that your time was based on when sunrise and sunset were. Where is Manchester? Yeah, so it was based on when the sun came up, and as a result, yay! So let's see if I've still got enough to buy some shares in my company. Oop. Clearly not. Oh, they're 369. to earn a bit more money. Yeah. So yeah. So because it used to be sunrise and sunset, but you can't run a railway based on, with everyone using their own interpretation of when dawn and dusk are. So what they did was they invented railway time, and railway time was essentially Greenwich Mean Time as we know it now, or Zulu time to those of you in the US. I think that's what you call it in the US. Do correct me if I'm wrong. I'd hate to be spouting more rubbish than normal. Oh dear. I see. Trying to connect this up, but in a way that's... There we go. Yeah, so they basically invented railway time, which was effectively... It became national time. But yes, there's a clock in Bristol, which is a red hand, and the idea is one of the hands is for standard time, and the other one is for that fancy railway time that that all the kids were talking about during those ages. So yeah, with that that kind of started bringing the country together, and indeed it stopped. Now some people say it's a shame because it stopped specialising. So the idea was you might initially have, say, a train that should... Do I want to take it down to Bristol? Why not? Let's just overcongest my network. In fact, let's do it this, because I'm going to eventually run this sucker to London. I missed it at Salisbury. And back here, because it will have to round. So, let's follow this one. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so the railway basically had to universalise time because you couldn't have a timetable running where different people thought noon was a different time at a different point in the day. So that's what they did. They invented railway time. It became the standard across the country and indeed across the world, and that's one of the major contributions the railway has actually given Britain is time, universal time across the country, which is quite a neat thing. So yeah, that's as I say, what we're living through this at the moment is the golden age of the. I mean, what the idea that if you're playing the game properly, which I'm not, you'd actually be making a big deal of buying up companies and also trying to lay track against a competitor. I've put a very tight curve in there. One of the things I'm quickly going to show you, I'm going to buy the chemical plant here. Now let's go back to this train here because I was wanting to follow it. Sadly, you can't move these windows around. So this is what happens if you want to buy an industry, is you get this auction screen, and that would be the idea. If you had multiple players in it, then someone might say, "Oh, you're buying the chemical plant in Bristol. Why are you doing that?" Because things start making money. Oh, we've still not done that Birmingham mission. We've got 5 more to do. Guessing the chemical plant isn't actually making that much, but there you go. Yeah, I was going to connect to London. See, part of me is tempted not to. Blimmin' Londoners wanting all the things. So yeah, part of me is tempted not to, but is it one of my... Well, it is one of my goals eventually. Oh, I didn't manage that, so... Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester... I've got all of those except London, so... I could complete that mission fairly easily by going along this little mineral branch. London's an absolute pain in this game, though, because it sits across the Thames. There's the Tower of the Houses of Parliament. I'm going to call it Big Ben. I know some pedants will sit there and say, actually it's not Big Ben. Big Ben is the thing here, not that. It's like, yep, okay, that's fine. I'm going to call it Big Ben. So let's clear off a few of these. So it's Salisbury, Portsmouth, and now Londinium. Tempting. And then I'll run everything back. I'll run it like an express back to Bristol. So let's see where we're going with this. Like I say, just to kill time. So yeah, that's it. In fact, no, we're going to follow this train because this is the one that's doing a mission. So yeah, that's basically the gist of the game. It's what I like about it. It's actually very relaxing to play. Change this. Let's go for that. Yeah, it's very relaxing to play. I'm not sure if you can spot it, because all you're doing, once you get to a certain point, you get a fairly solid income from businesses and that sort of thing. And so what it means is, you can follow all these things. Salisbury's now wanting textiles. Well, good for Salisbury, but in truth, I don't actually have to. I don't have to do that if I don't want to, so I can just ignore it. And at this easy level, the game runs regardless. So that sort of thing makes me quite happy. And like I say, I do sometimes find this quite a relaxing game to do, because all you're really doing is playing with a big train set, just watching little trains chug about the tracks along their doing their merry business. So what I'll probably do is run this as a short video, but I'm going to run this up to when I complete this mission in Birmingham, just so you can see what happens. As you've seen, like I said, we've got the Portsmouth Comet. Like I say, buying stock in your company does secure you. The idea is, again, if you're running a multiplayer, you could buy up other parts of people's business. But I think if you can pick, I maybe wouldn't have paid full price for this game, but it came, like I say, I bought the Humble Bundle. It was one of the Humble Bundles, and I bought the Sid Meier Bundle mainly for Civilization, which came with, it was a couple of versions of Civilization. It was quite cheap, and it came with Civilization, also came with this, and Sid Meier's Ace Patrol, which is actually a game I'm amazed hasn't been ported to mobile, because it's actually ideal for that platform. And again, that's another one that's probably worth a look. Oh, deliver one. So let's see if we can get this done before the time runs out. I'll probably keep it running over time, just so you can see. I think it's because I put in extra things. Normally when I do those, I kind of put in a bit of a focus, and I'll just say no, it's going to only deliver those things. Whereas actually I've kind of said, you know what, let's try to earn a bit more money from it. Oh, I've not noticed that before. That was quite neat. The little mail bag gets picked up. Yeah, the trains, they did actually develop a system to pick up mail while travelling. I've seen one of the cars that did it in Bo'ness. They actually have a fairly well restored one, and well worth a visit if you're ever in Bo'ness, to go to the Bo'ness Railway Museum, Heritage Railway. And yes, it does. It's quite intriguing when you actually see what they had to do. They quite literally kind of hung out the side of a train and caught things, dropped off mail on one thing, so it's kind of a net to catch it, mail dangling on a thing, and there was another place on the side of the track to catch it. Quite fascinating, if you're that. Otherwise, you could just be bored of me talking about trains. Like I say, for someone who claims not to be a rail enthusiast, I sure talk a lot about trains, but it is my job, and like I say, you just start absorbing the stuff through osmosis. Other interests I've got, I'm a big sci-fi fan, do like my Star Trek. Basically, if you put spaceships in something, I'm probably going to watch it, because I do like my spaceships. Trains of the Stars is not what anyone calls them. Yeah, that's really it. So this is almost a bit of a getting to know you, at least as much information I'm trying to reveal. If you're curious, I know I don't put my picture up, which I know a lot of people do Let's Play do. Really, it's because I'm a fairly average looking person. I'm a big chunky person, I've got a small beard, I need glasses to see in the distance, probably through sitting watching screens for most of my youth. As a hobby, this one goes, oop, finally a freight train. I'll show us this new train. I'll change this one for it. So there you go, got a new train. And yeah, like I say, that's all. If you do want to know anything about me, you can ask in the comments. I might not tell you. Like I say, I will only reveal what I'm comfortable revealing, because it's the internet. People are weird. People can be quite mean. I could just leave it at that, but yeah, this is basically, I mean, like I say, if I do these videos again with, you can actually see that's one of the quite neat things, you can see it loading up, the sort of hooks and things like that, moving things. I do like all the little animations, and I can swirl the camera, just so you know it's not always fixed. Hopefully the other ones will be more interesting, and I might make them a bit shorter. Looking at this, half an hour is probably too long. Oh no, it's a disaster. So if you go straight. Yeah, looking at this. Oh no, not wheel makers. Probably for some of these I might make them shorter, but there are some games which I think are worth a look. Some of them I also want to try are some of the multiplayer games I play. So there's things like, if I can actually get a game of it running, and you'd wait, not use up all my hard drive space recording me waiting in a queue. Something like Guns of Icarus, I think, does deserve a bit of attention.
and similarly, what was the other one I was going to do? Fractured Space. Again, these are games I do urge you to check out. Fractured Space. As for the Myst series, this is a final thing I'm going to talk about that, because it does look like, unless things change, it does look like at some point I will be doing Riven. What I will say about Riven is it's an absolute pig to get running on Open Broadcast, which you use to record. The reason for that is that unlike your old DOSBox games that I was playing, that kind of playing another version of DOSBox, they're actually very easy to record. They just open up in a window, and games like this can use the game capture feature. But for some reason, Riven, which is just a ported version, it was never a DOS game. It always ran under Windows. It doesn't capture in either, so I've kind of got to set a screen capture, but set it for a much lower resolution because the screen resolution drops. So that's where it gets difficult, and it is a bit of a pig. I think I've got a resolution set for it. I had the same problems running Darkfall the Journal. I think I've got resolution set up now, so it should be the case that I can get it running. And again, if Riven does end up being the one that people are more interested in, I'll do that. The other problems I have doing the Myst series, if I do go through Riven and finish it, I might have to wait a bit for Myst 3. I was kind of lucky that Riven showed up on GOG shortly after I finished my Myst commentary. But my only version, I've got Mysts 4 and 5 and I've got Uru, but what I don't have, well, I do have Myst 3, but I have it for the PlayStation and I'm not forking out for a video capture card. So I'm afraid. So there you go. There's 100,000 quid for doing this. So, but yes, that's where we are. So again, if you are hoping for those, then I do apologise if you're not going to get them. But what I'm going to do is leave it here. That's me playing with a train set. You've just watched a man driving trains in a local version of Britain. At least it didn't crash, so swings and roundabouts. So anyway, all that remains to say is thank you for watching. Please do like, share, comment. If you want to talk to me on Twitter, I am at pieman70, all one word, 70 in numbers. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye for now.